Are there any parts of this practice that, if done incorrectly, could be unsafe?
Only overdoing.
Okay.
And we all sometimes have a tendency to overdo, and by unsafe, I don't think the practice is unsafe in terms of what you could do to yourself in any one day or any one week even, or perhaps even several months of overdoing. And by then, you'd be so uncomfortable you would be forced to back off.
Yeah.
But I suppose you could do permanent harm to your health if you just didn't listen at all to what was going on and didn't follow the instructions at all. And I guess that's true of a lot of things, isn't it?
Yep.
Like an automobile, for example, or any piece of machinery we have around our house. If we use it the way it's meant to be used, it's safe. And if we're just not paying attention, yeah. But you have to work pretty hard to get yourself in trouble with this practice.
Yes. Okay.
Work
great.
hard at it to abuse it.
When we're clearing obstructions through the breathing, where are these obstructions coming from?
Well, there is that word that everybody knows called karma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Karma means action and its results, and so everything that has gone on in the past in this life, and some people believe in previous lives, because we're all born a little different with different gifts and different obstructions we have to overcome in life. And so the answer is that what's in there that needs to be purified is a result of what's happened in the past, which is not to lay a guilt trip on anybody. It just is what it is. Mm-hmm. We each have our own matrix of obstructions that we have to work through, and these practices are very able to do that without having to be specific about any particular past actions we may have engaged in.
Yes.
So they're neutral in that sense, but very effective.
Yes.
The practices really just work on the energy and the inner silence and bringing those together, and then the rest is healing. Why does the body heal? It heals because it's in its nature to do so. Mm-hmm. Why does the human nervous system become enlightened when you give it some encouragement to do so? It does it because it's in its nature. Yeah. We're all wired for it.
And we're so living different lives today in the Western world, especially. Every day people don't even know that we can achieve or even work towards this goal.
But it's changing, Dr. Ann.
It is. Definitely one radio show at a time.
It's changing. It's speeding up. 10 years ago, we couldn't be having these conversations. It's
I know.
Just individuals are really picking up their own baton, so to speak, spiritually, and there's just a huge amount of individual self-directed practice going on out there these days.
It's fantastic.
You can feel it.
You can.
In the air.
When I went through my own awakening in India, 17 years ago, when I came back home, I had no one to talk to about it. I didn't know what had happened to me. It wasn't until really, maybe 10 years later, after sitting with it for so long, then I started meeting people that had had similar experiences or knew what it was, and it was such a relief.
Oh, yeah.
And now, you can go to AYP site, and it's all there.
Well, we're trying. We're trying. One thing I wanted to mention, two things actually. First is we've done two previous interviews. The first one was kind of a general introduction to AYP and its practices, and then the second one we did last month was on deep meditation. We have these interviews recorded and available on the AYP website for listening anytime. So if you go to aypsite.org and go down the left side of any page, there's a list of things, and eventually you get down to AYP on the radio. And if you go there, all the interviews are there. Or you can go a little further down in that border, and you get to AYP on YouTube, and they're also on YouTube as well.
Great.
And if you're a YouTube person, you just go to YouTube and do a search on Yogani or Yogani 99, which is the name that's being used there. And the interviews are there too. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that, as I guess I mentioned it before, that these talks that we're having are not all inclusive. And if you want to do these practices, please go to the website and read the free lessons and make sure that you pick up all the details.
Right.
Because we're not guaranteed to cover everything here.
No, we don't have time to cover everything on an hour show, but everything is available on the website. It's aypsite.org. Okay, so going on a little deeper into this work, beyond where I'm at the moment, you say that we encounter inner beings, and that this is a normal thing for some. And so, who would you say these inner beings are, and also that they're lower beings and higher beings? Can you maybe go into that a little bit?
Well, it's a general thing. Not to get too specific about it, because we really don't want to distract people from the practice and their growth. And there is a tendency for some people to get very much into this sort of thing. And we're not suggesting any sort of mediumship or, contacting the dead or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I guess what I would say is that if you believe in an afterlife, then it stands to reason that there will be all sorts of entities and souls and beings in that afterlife. I guess you could call it a before life too, right?
Yeah.
Whatever we're not experiencing right here with our on the physical plane. So when we're doing these practices, it's not entirely impossible that we wouldn't experience some sort of entity or being or presence or whatever during the practice, and sometimes outside the practice. And I get emails regularly about this, and I always pretty much gave the same answer. It's just favor the practice over the experience,
So would you say that through the experience we're basically lifting the veil, the inner veil?
Yes, it is. And sometimes people get concerned about dark entities or malicious forces out there, which, some people experience that. Others do not. But the one thing I can say is if you favor your practice and you just, over any experience that comes up, what's going to happen is you're going to be cultivating inner silence in your nervous system, and the conductivity of that through your nervous system. And those lower energies are not going to really be in your awareness anymore, because your awareness will be beyond those entities. And then what you may experience is what's referred to in the Spinal Breathing Pranayama book as higher beings or higher entities. And really that's less specific in terms of a contained entity. It's more of a positive energy, like what you might imagine a guardian angel might be. You may never see your guardian angel, but
you can feel them.
But there's a presence in your life that's looking out for you.
Yes.
And these practices will create that experience over time, where you may see a few sort of normal run-of-the-mill type entities, but that's really not what it's about. Where you end up over time is with this presence that's with you all the time, and it's really your own being.
Right.
But it also contains qualities that could be attributed to perhaps the savior of your religion, whether it's Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or something like that, or it can be an unnamed presence that you just feel at home.
Yeah.
And you feel that you're being protected.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant.
Yeah.
About lower and higher beings, and I didn't really want to send people off to seances or anything like that.
No, I understand.
It's really just to make the point that there is a presence, and we all might identify it a different way, but it's something that grows in our life, and it is positive.
Yes, okay.